and vendors. And so it would be a great idea for us to see what it's like to be in the in-between, with the gateway between suppliers and big retailers or other prospect clients. So, Kelly, before getting your EDC with us on Supplier Gateway, from your experience, could you give us a couple of examples of other suppliers you've worked with and yourself as to why it's important for you to get your business certified?
Yeah, I will tell you. Thanks. It's a good question. So one of my first clients I ever signed was a certified woman-owned business. And when we were going through sort of her business strategy and all of those things, we attended a couple of matchmaking events that were put on by the certifying agency, which made me understand pretty quickly about the benefits that come from being certified. We were able to meet with really large companies to talk about who her small business was and get opportunities to bid on that work. And so that led me to go through the same process of getting certified as soon as I was able to with my company. So
Perfect. And while getting certified with Supplier Gateway, what other statuses were you able to get verified as well in the same form?
yeah, I think I have almost everything. It's so easy, right? So I am a minority-owned business. I am woman-owned, small, disadvantaged. I have a non-visible disability that I chose not to include because I don't need any sort of reasonable accommodations for it at this point. But I could have also added that in. It was so easy to get all of them at one time. I actually couldn't actually believe it. So.
Perfect. And for a company of your size, would you say having outsources to a third party like Supplier Gateway, how much time did you save on paperwork compared to, I know you are also certified by other agencies, but how much time, and of course, time is money, did you save?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like night and day, right? It took me 15 minutes on
Perfect.
Supplier Gateway to get my EDC. Literally, it took me 6 months to get my other certification. So not the same at all. And the information I needed was readily available as opposed to sort of having to come up with all of these financial documents and, certificates to prove I was who I was and all of these other things I had to do with the other agencies. I actually thought, I'll be honest with you, when I was going through the EDC process, I just assumed because I was already certified, you had some sort of a back door into that other agency that pulled in my information. That's why it was so easy. But then I shared EDC with one of my colleagues who was in an accelerator with me, and she was not certified, and she went through the process, and it also took her 15 minutes. So clearly, it's just a much faster, easier process. Yeah.
Perfect. Um, when is the right time to get certified? And by that, I mean, you just started your business. Should you wait or, maybe 6 months in if you have found a niche already, or, when is a good time to start?
So what I would say is it really depends on your business, right? It needs to be part of your strategy. I mentor a lot of small businesses. And that's one of the things we work through when we're building out sort of their roadmap for their organization. If you are a small local provider, I don't think there's any reason to really wait. If you know that your company is your company and you want to get your certification as quickly as you're able to get the documentation together, I would say look at an EDC. If you are a company that is looking for big national, multinational clients, you're going to want to take some time, right? You're really going to want to think about where your business is going, kind of when you're going to start signing clients, when you're going to have references, because some of the other organizations require a lot more information. They require you to prove viability. So you may have to have been in business for a year or two. They're going to require financial documents, references, all of those things. So it really depends. I would say spend some time understanding where you want your business to go and who your client is, right? What market you're in before you start thinking about certification. Do the back work first.
So awesome. That's great insight. Well, for supplier EDC, what group do you think benefits the most? I know it benefits a multitude of customers, but who do you think it benefits the most?
As far as people getting certified or people using it to search? Sorry, I just want to clarify your
Um,
question.
People getting certified.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously small businesses, but if we stop and think a minute, small businesses are about 99% of businesses in this country, right? True small business. But so I would say solopreneurs for sure, local businesses, um, small businesses who haven't been in business for 2 years, right? So if you're thinking about getting certified because of, whatever, you want more opportunities for grants, you want to join an accelerator, there are local businesses, maybe it's a local grocery store who wants to get your cookies on their shelves and they want to look for suppliers who are diverse. I would say it benefits all of those groups, right? So and it also, I would think, large companies as well, because one of the cool things with EDC is that you can search opportunities, and I'm sure you're going to ask me about that later, but I'm going to say it now. And so if I'm a larger business that's diverse, um, I might want to do EDC as well, because there are opportunities on there that I can source. So, right. So I think it really benefits all businesses. I don't know that there's one it doesn't. How's that?
Absolutely. We're all really new to what grants are available once we are women-owned certified. Are there some first names that comes to mind?
Boy, again, I think it depends on the business. There are lots and lots of grants out there, first and foremost, right? And there are places where you can source those. It really depends on what your business is and what you're looking, kind of what industry you're in. Um, HelloFresh has a lot of grants. There are a number of grants for women-owned businesses. But I would say, again, it sort of depends on where you are, and what you're looking to do with your business. I wouldn't want to just say go out and get this grant or that grant.
Perfect. So post EDC, so once you are certified, last time we spoke, Kelly, one thing that really stuck with me was your strategy. It's called intentional matching. Can you describe to us this strategy and like how it has helped your suppliers connect to bigger clients and long-term contracts? And does EDC help facilitate this strategy?
Yeah. So if we think about benchmarking data that's available, about 70% of procurement people say that they don't use diverse suppliers because it's because they can't find them. And that's really where intentional matching came from, right? For companies who are trying to build an inclusive supplier ecosystem, we don't want to have roadblocks that stop you from finding a supplier. And so we developed intentional matching for our clients and for others who have a need, don't know where to find that need, or don't have the bandwidth to weed through a large list of suppliers who come up. We want to make sure that they meet all compliance requirements, all procurement requirements, that they have the right insurance, that they have the right number of references, if there's a revenue requirement in place, or um, years in business requirement, all of those things. So we take all of that information from our clients and then we source the right supplier either through our network or through EDC. We search a supplier for them. So we had a client come to us that was moving from multiple offices around the country to sort of one corporate headquarters and then everybody else remote. And they wanted to give the business to a diverse supplier. Um, and they needed somebody who could decommission all those spaces. So that's kind of what we do. We found 3 suppliers who could help them, women-owned, minority-owned, and a veteran-owned, and then we gave them all of the places where they matched and the places where maybe they were close. Because some of our clients will say, we're okay if it's not 100% match. We're really interested in developing small businesses, women-owned businesses, right? Help us find some companies we can pour into so they can grow and become national players. And so we'll let them know what percentage of the match there is. And that really helps sort of remove that barrier of we can't find. Also, it helps remove the stigma that for some reason people think that women in small and diverse businesses are somehow small and unqualified. There are businesses today that can walk into any corporation in the world really and sign a contract that are women owned or that are diverse owned. And so we just sort of help bring those to the forefront so companies can work with them and contract with them and use them for their services.
Perfect. So after getting certified, right, what would be the most immediate like next step for a business owner? How did you, after certification, prioritize, times in outreach, grants, networking, um, all the things that you have to do as a small business? Like, how did you juggle it all?
Um, I'll be honest, it was tricky. So I will tell you, to me, the very first thing you should do is get on social, right? Promote the fact that you have your certification. We're going through a rebrand, so we haven't done a great job of it of late, but make sure that companies know that you're certified. Reach out to your network and let them know. Put it on your LinkedIn page, right? All of those things, your Facebook page, if you have a TikTok, whatever, make sure you're letting companies know and people know. And then networking. I can't speak enough about how important networking is. Um, Looking on your city's event website to see what kind of opportunities there are to go out and meet companies. Those things get posted there. Reaching out to your economic area partnerships or your chamber to see what kind of opportunities they are. I get more of my business um, through those channels, I think, than anything else. And so making sure that you're letting companies know that you are available for business, that you have your certification, which many of them will require if they're tracking that spend. Um, those things are the most important. Grants, I would say, depending on, again, what your business plan is calling for, if you're looking for grants to support your business, to hire, to those things, absolutely, that should be something that you're doing. But again, networking, you'd be amazed at how quickly that can help a business once you get your certification sort of move forward.
So you would say share it as much as you can. And also just to share that your certification or any other certification that you can get, you can actually share it in your profile on Supplier Gateway with portals of our clients. So they'll be able to pull you up on searches that way. So it's a great way to optimize your search ranking. Um, so we have a couple questions coming in. I'll address them by order. We have Ihan. Yeah, so currently we are working tirelessly to expand beyond just the US. We understand that more than half of businesses are women owned all over the world and not just in the US. So we are working towards expanding this to other continents as well. Eastern Europe, we have plans to launch in New Zealand and Australia next year. So I will personally follow up with you and put on your calendar date when we do launch those dates in your area. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much. And then we have Devin. Is it a specific grant for staffing or recruiting? Um,
Are they,
so, well, there's grants for, like Kelly said, many different industries. And so it depends on your business vertical, your niche, and your business strategy as well.
and I would just add to that question of Devon. So I'm not sure where you're located, but if you are able to um, look at your economic area partnerships or some of those kind of groups, so state or city organizations that you can join, they do typically have some grants that you could use for staffing to help you. I actually used a grant at some point to help get a PR person on to do a project. So there are small grants like that out there available.
Perfect. And what's the value of any certification? Will buyers get a benefit? does, make me more attractive to a corporate buyer?
You're certainly more attractive to a corporate buyer. And there's lots of reasons for that. Number one, if a company has ESG goals where they're tracking their diverse spend, they're going to want you to have your certification. Two, if they have compliance goals. So if they have clients who require them to track their tier one and tier two spend, they need those suppliers that they use for that tracking to be certified. So when a company is looking either to bring on new business, they're looking at intentionally creating inclusion in their supply chain, they're going to look first to certified businesses. So hopefully I answered that.
Absolutely. And I have applied for women-owned business. How long does it take? So it varies. We have designed for the process to take approximately 15 minutes to fill out. Now, the verification, we aim to make it under 24 hours. Now, for your experience, how long did it take to verify you and get your certification through your inbox?
I think it was the next day.
Was
It
the
was
next
really
day?
quick. Yeah, it was really, really quick. It was faster than I thought it was going to be. So yeah. Obviously, if you're going through a different certification process, if um, not EDC, it can take, like I said, depending, you should plan for about 6 months for them to get everything done and get you scheduled for your site visits and the levels of approval that have to happen after.
Okay. And Susan got a question for you specifically. How do you charge for finding a match and who pays for it?
So it depends. I typically charge a consulting fee for finding the match. Sometimes, depending on if it's one of the suppliers in our network, they might do a revenue share. And it's a pretty small percentage of their revenue that we charge as a consulting fee. Or if it's a client who we work with, they might have a subscription fee. It depends on the engagement and the partnership between the client and the supplier.
And as for our supplier gateway portal, you can register for completely free. Now, the premium platform will have more analytics for that benefits your business and give you ways to show yourself your best foot forwards with other businesses. And that will be $25 a month. And we do have a 25% off discount for an annual subscription. Thank you, Susan, for that question. All right, we have Ranisha. Hi, is there a site or a consultant to assist with the contracting process and getting contracts with a certification?
So you're welcome to reach out to me. Obviously, I can put my contact, you'll send out my contact information, I'm assuming, Leanne. I'm happy to chat with you about that sort of one-on-one and how we can help you, or I can refer you to other consultants in your area if that would be more appropriate.
And we have a question coming from Miranda. Is there a link to get the certification taken of? Miranda, we'll add the link to EDC and we actually have a special for you at the end too. So stay tuned for that. Okay. Annette, do you need to renew annually? I was certified as a women business with WBENC, but did not renew because of all the paperwork. You've had a similar experience, right, Kelly?
I have actually. I understand. I actually waited to renew until 2 months before my certification with another organization was due, and it expired because it took so long to get it done. So the cool thing, and I'm sure you guys are going to talk about this with EDC, is you can actually do it for multiple years. So you might want to think about that. It's actually great in that way.
Yes. So for Supplier Gateway, we do have an option that is actually money saving. If you are, you can get certified for 3 years. Now you have an option to do 1 year, 3 years. And when it's time for you to renew, if it's within 30 days, we have an option called quick renewal. So you'll go in and just update what has changed. We'll retain as much as possible, and we streamline the process for you. So it takes about 2 minutes for quick renewal. Now, if you've waited for more than 30 days, then it's kind of like a reapply. So it'll be the same amount of time, about 15 minutes, and you'll get your verification within 24 hours. And the renewal window, we have changed it from 30 days before the certification expires to now you can start renewing 90 days before it expires. So, and our platform will also remind you to do that as well and keep you on top of it so that you don't miss quick renewal. Okay. Susan, what is the rule for percentage of women owned? Is there a percentage of ownership that is man owned, but neither are working with the company? One is my husband, who just is on the ownership document, but is not involved with the businesses at all. The other is retired, but still owns a small percentage of the business.
Yeah, you have to be 51% women owned to qualify for certification.
Absolutely. All right. Pat, are the certification recognized by municipalities, states, and outside of network primes? We are certified WBE, MBE, but expired.
So I'm not, is that a question for me? Or I guess I'm.
Yeah,
I
is
think
this
there's
in general for is this in general for certifications, Pat, or is this specifically for enhanced digital certification? I ask that because generally speaking, different companies will have specific requirements for their certifications.
okay. Pat, feel free to kind of elaborate on the question as well. And we'll get right
She's
back to you.
Pat said general certifications.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, I mean, general certifications, typically if you have WBE, like WeBank or the Minority Supplier Diversity Council, those are recognized pretty much everywhere. EDC is also recognized in lots of places. If you're doing government work, obviously you need some different certifications there. So.
We have Colleen. Apologies as I missed the answer to this. No apologies needed. Does this satisfy federal requirements for certification?
No, no, it does not, correct, you guys. So you need to get, there are, SBA has specific certifications that you need to work on, like if you're going to work with DOJ or some of those other groups. So.
Lisa, how do you take venture capital owners into account in ownership?
So the rules are pretty clear, even if VC is involved. The business has to be 51% owned by a woman in order to be a woman-owned business to get certification. So I'm not sure, like with VC, how much of the company they own or not, but as long as primary ownership and that includes also control, needs to be woman-owned, decision making needs to be by that same woman owner. So it would depend on sort of your relationship with your VC, and without seeing those agreements, it would be hard to sort of speak to that.
Okay, so we're running with 1 minute behind now. Let's see here. We're so sorry if we can't get to your questions. I'll try my best to follow up after the session. What is the main difference between various types of certifications?
So there are different certifications certify different things. right? Some certify ethnicity, some certify disability, some gender, right? So there are lots, some small business, some disadvantaged. There are lots of different certifications depending on what it is you're looking to be certified as. So.
Okay. And then, oh, I have a very interesting question from Michael. We are currently a veteran-owned business, but planning to step out and sell to a new women owner. How difficult would it be to convert to a new women-owned business?
Well, just make sure that your legal team is drawing up the paperwork correctly and that you can prove that the woman has 51% ownership. She's going to have, the new owner is going to have to go through the certification process. So, but ensure that you have clear ownership, clear all of the transition paperwork and all of those things. So, and then they'll have to go through the certification process. They may ask for some additional paperwork depending on who you go through. With EDC, I would think it would be pretty easy though.
Absolutely. In practicality, what companies accept this? I work in the A&EC industry who typically use the federal rules.
So are they asking what industries accept EDC or probably?
So all of our clients accept, well, we have clients that sponsor EDC and accept and uses EDC. And Leanne, maybe we can give a list of those clients, big retailers on our portal. But we have more than 23,000 vendors on the portal. Let's see.
Just so you know, the recording will be live to everyone. You'll also be getting the deck that I've included here. And just to keep us a little bit, we're about a minute over here. So if we want to answer a few more questions, and then I'll make sure to follow up with everyone with the slide deck and additional information that should answer most of your questions.
Okay, let's we went over various differences. How do we know if we should apply for NAWBO versus WBENC? Do they offer the same benefits? Should we do both?
I would tell you should probably, if you're thinking that you need, it depends on your business. So let me just back up. It depends on, again, what clients you're hoping to serve. So if it's just, again, if it's strictly corporate, WeBank should be enough, honestly. If you're looking to do more in the government, sort of nonprofit, all of those other places, then maybe both. But you should be okay with just your WeBank if that's what you're going to do.
Okay. Well, that should wrap up our Q&A live session. Okay. And as promised, we do have a promotion for you when it comes to our EDC offering.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, that everyone that's in attendance and everyone that registered and couldn't make it, you'll all be receiving a recording of the webinar. You'll be receiving our women-owned, our guide to women-owned business certification, and you'll also be given a special link. We really want to support your certification journey at Supplier Gateway, so we are offering free enhanced digital certification to everybody that has joined us today. And you'll be receiving that link via email. So thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to supporting you on your certification journey.